Hey guys, Harrison here with ABS Fishing Tips and Tricks, and in this video I'm going to teach you guys how to make roundhead jigs. Basically, it should look something like this. Now, when making roundhead jigs, some of the most important materials you need is a jig mold. And basically, since we're making roundhead jigs, you're going to need a roundhead jig mold. And you can basically buy these things from a company called Do It, it's a jig making company, and they have most of the time you can just buy it off of Bass Pro. Now, next you need is jig hooks. You need specifically made jig hooks. You can get Eagle Claw brand. You can get really any other brand you want, but Eagle Claw is some of the best brand. You can get really expensive ones, but really for this video, all you need is really cheaper ones. Next, if you want to, this is just an option, but you also need paint if you want to make your jigs just different colors for different water types. You need lead. Your lead can look like really much anything. I pretty much melt this down just to purify it, but once it's basically purified, you don't have to worry about having impurities in it. You also are going to need a file, basically to file down your jigs with these little tags that you pretty much have them on, just so you make them nice and smooth, and it'll just better appearance. You also need lead clippers. Basically, lead clippers are better than any other clippers because it cuts lead a lot easier than most other scissors or other types of clippers, and with these it's really soft, so it doesn't really hurt the blade at all. You also need a melting pot, which is over here. It's heating up the lead right now. Typically these melting pots, you can get some from $54 to $100. I would recommend getting the cheaper ones because they're still really good and they still work well, so the more expensive ones really just aren't practical. Basically, when starting out by making these, basically all you just need to do is melt the lead, and basically I have it right now in the melting pot. Looks sort of like this. And basically it takes about 8 to 10 minutes for it to melt, and since it takes that long, it'll really melt it over time. And when you're doing this, make sure your room is very ventilated because some of these fumes that come out of the lead are very dangerous. So just make sure you're wearing extra protection equipment like eyeglasses, cotton gloves, and long sleeve sweatshirts, just so you don't get hurt while doing this. So basically, how we're going to start out is basically find the right size hook you have. I'm using a 4/0 hook. Basically, this is what a roundhead jig hook looks like. This 4/0 is really a versatile size. Make sure when you're getting these, they have something called Eagle Claw 570. 570 is basically just the model that matches with most of these Do It jig molds. So basically what you want to do is fit it with the right size that you want. So I'm going with a 1/4. So you just fit it basically just like this. And make sure it's really straight in, because once it's straight, it's a lot easier to get your molds really nice, just so they look a lot nicer. When doing this, basically make sure that you close it very tightly, so you don't have any of the space. Like for this one, the hook's too big for that size, so make sure you just change the size for that hook, so it'll fit a lot nicer. And you can get different sizes for these jigs. Like for example, I have 2/0, which is a little bit smaller. Some of these jig sizes are really confusing because some of them can be from 2/0 to 4/0, and typically the bigger number you have is going to be a bigger hook. But when you see this dash, and once you see the 0, the odd 0, basically that means it's going to be a bigger number or a bigger hook size. So just make sure that you have your hook really firmly inside of the mold. Make sure it's right. And typically for these types of jigs, they recommend having a large weight with a small hook, which for my type of fishing really doesn't work. But typically for my fishing, I have to have a big hook with a small weight so I don't get caught on rocks. So I usually just customize them by sort of form-fitting the jigs. You'll have a lot more tags though to cut off, but that really doesn't matter after a while because really will help improve your fishing. And this can also save you a lot of money. It can help save you time by buying jigs, because most Bass Pro jigs can be very expensive, and at times they won't work as well, in my opinion. And it's a lot of fun doing this anyway. So also you might need a rack to help dry these off with too. So this is pretty much a rack that I have. It's not sort of handmade, but just to keep my hooks and my paint just from drying, just to keep it drying. And now we have our jigs melting right now. Still getting hot. And always make sure that your room is very ventilated.